Locho sampo pagyo trashi pa tuche tempe trinle yarmoda pegye drolo zampe zebrache pande lame shabla solvade Omo a guru vajra dara sumati munisha sane kar uta vardani shri badra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om Guru Vajra Sumati Muni Shasane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajra Sumati Muni Shasane Uta Vardanya Shri Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajra Sumati Muni Shasane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajra Sumati Muni Shasane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajra Dar Sumati Muni Shasane Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dagi Chitsun Lama Tuje Che Nyamda Dala Tuje Siksu Su Gebe Shesan Dala Tendu Su Uyon Sungi Nawa Tsedu Su Seji Nyingne Sowa Debe Tse Dechen Korlo Visu Lekshun Yila Sambe Deden Malupa Gemel Hungir Drupra Jingil Sonyi Sodan Dikdun Shabetse Dungi Namge Yinso Lekshun Lapchen Sonyi Yonsu Tsopada Chira Nyedun Chamra Jingil Chancho Parge Nitsen Tugun To Nyu Peme Siudro Lekshun Chancho Drube Gegen Kunshishi Tungen Dela Drupra Jingil Dagi lona chola chopa dan chumi samjur ngimba shiwa Chedan timbe dede malupa bemel hungi drubra jingil Dorna tingne tsira tamche dan teche pardo neka tamche tu Rese kyamne lama keleme tukche chingi dala sikso Gongyab drewe nyamda da chala chitsun lame tukche rabgongne Kodan sungi nawa drame tu nyamsu nyongwe kesan tobrash Kewa kundu yanda lama dan drame chiki pela long chichi Sadan lamge yunde rabzone dorje change koba nyur toba shum Pakyuke kodan dagi lu pakyuke sundan dagi nga Pakyuke tukdan dagi ye ten yerme chiktu jingi alo Makyuke kodan dagi lu, makyuke sondan dagi nga, makyuke tukdan dagi ye, ten yerme chiktu jingi alo. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamunye Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamunye Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamunye Swaha. So we start with the first part of the Guru Puja. Cominciamo con la recitazione della Guru Puja. Verso numero 1, verse number 1. Oya de chengale rani lama lhae kande selve kule vesre tso chuchu trebe nuju chinlape taba ramjan bashe yundengi kube keba penson tsobara gyur rabkara gesen chembe ngani le dadan kanya magen simchenam tene jise chanchu nimbe para lama kunjo sumla kyabso dro namo guru bye namo budai Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Ma simchen kunge tenge chir dani lama lhar gyurne simchen tamche lama koban chola kubracha. Ma simchen kunge tunge chir dani lama lar gyurne simchen damche lama koban chola kubracha. Ma simchen kunge tunge chir dani lama lar gyurne simchen damche lama koban chola kubracha. Ma simchen tam chege tundu dage tsedi nila nyurwa deme sange lama lai koban unduche. Ma simchen tamche dunga ledre Dechen sangye sala kubracha, te chirto lam samo lama lai, nel joranyam so langwara kewon. Omo ahun, omo ahun, omo ahun. Ngowo yeshe la nambar nanche danche ze soso, nambra chile wambo drugi chuyu du dedong. Yeshe kebra jengebe sadam parna nange kyun tamche yonsu kyabe chinasam. Chirren tamze chense samge mi kyabe kanwa are kyur. Dedon yermel hala yambra kwinsan chirren tribe wo loma medo tribo yunze dugu pasam jumbet. Donga barwe rinchen triden chuge nida gebete. Kadrin sumde tsawe lama sange kunge ngowani. Namba ngurme zimbe gelon sheche chanye tsumkaratu. Chaye cheche yumba nyamsha dutse kangwe lungsen. Kurkun damden chugu sumso serdo penshe ulatse. Tukara kyabda dorje chanwa sheche chanye kudong. Dodre sunne yinchu magyul hinge dedon robege. Nama rinche genge treshin lhaze dagi nazel. Sempe gende veser tomba chatsun nange korwev. Dorje kilron sulge shukpe pungbo namda deshe. Kamshi yumshi keche tsagyo tsinan chancho chembong. Pabo dracho nite chikdon yen la trovo wangboni. Veser chogyo nujin sanwa jikden pana shabkid. Tako rimshi ngogyo lama yidam kingor la zoda. Sangye jansen pawe kandro tensum gyatso korneshu. Tetra gosum dorje sumse hunge veser chagyo. Ranshi nene yeshe pa. Chendra yerme tempara kyuro penso dele chune tusumgi. Sagyo lama yedan kunchosu. Pawo kandro chugyon sunso che. Tuche wange dirche temprashu. Chana ranshi. Natso duje samba jishin tu chirya charve kinse trinleche. Kyabgun damba kurche shiksuso. Om guru buddha bodhi sattva dharma pala saparivar. Ehya hi tsa hum bam ho. Yeshe pana tamse pada nisu me paragyur. Kange tuje dewa chimboyi. Kusung goban chukya keche la tsatse lama rinchen tabuku. Dorje chensha pemo cha tselo rabchan gyalwa kunge yeshen. Kande chiryan charve tabkecho. Murmi zimbe karge nerowa. Kyabgun. Pende malu jungwe gochepo. Chetsun lame shabla cha tselo harche. Sangye kunge ngo giri shido tamcho jungwe. Patso kunge wina langewa. Rinche lama namla cha tselo tusum chochuru shube lama da. Rinche chosum chawe tamche la. Techi mebe tuyang gyatsoch. Shindu nyambe ludru cha tselo. Kyabgun shetsun lama korche. Nazo chirin gyazo bilwani. Kule rinche weba nuyan le. Dache duse chushe degi ba. Dombo sima chengwa pele pa tsebe medo sadam parnanka. Tishin peke duba bendurye yarke ngombo chike lalantri. Nida norbu rabkara tongmetso tongsu minse vese tsegako. Gabo tsenden kurgon chigope puchun soche kuryo kunek. Roge chuden saja tongwa dan lhada mi shase lumpopo. Nazo romo chedran danyele. Chungwe danye gyuwe sasung. Zotra chiro rekche pelsempe. China den alham chukun kyam. Sa shipu ki chu shi me to. Chan ri ra lin shi. Ni de gem pa di. Sangye shinto. Mi te ulvargi drokunam dashingla chepar sho chewa tragelin shelombro che rinchen dunda nive rinchen so kunga gebe ne chepin sonso lami longcho dugu terche Dawe simge pulchun shinge cho kyabkun tuje chen la ulwargi yedam guru radna mandra la kam niryata yami. Moshan yitro yishin gyatso ngo sishe namkara lewa chunzeng dado gebe kunge yitro shin chikden chikden lede ranshin gosong gewe meto chiantra kunsan chebe triso bumdrosh Lapso rimni lange dendempe gatsen chetsun lama nichi kurgon damde sambo tinge chen roge pezenge che tuan chakyo nga dan roma nga laso chandun barwe dutse gyatso cho iwon latso palzin truchun shi debe gyuze lage lura shinge nga ge linge ponye tso tsetu gyume chagya nangyab Timden linge dewe yeshe che chukuran shin tongdan trewe yerme lundru masam chale de tunda chanch nyomo shigya tsashi ne jope sambo minge cheta kene gichira dadren bulan namkara che semba so sondo so tome dune mige digbele gidan gitse iran chichip Tuje chenren chengara gyosimge shakshi lenche mige domba chana ranshin tsema danreya milam chishin keba tamchegi tega chiryan charwe namkrala dacha samba tabe yira pulchon kenze chunzen bumre te taye drodi pende kondets keda yundu neda pewe chir sabge chegi charba abdus Dorje kula keje mingaya suncho wange gyabo samato daja meba jishin site bar nyange mida tabra shososo dedara trumbe namkara gewe tso katrin sumden chetsun lama sera kundu treme chezinchi suncho dorje changwato hirungo mime tsewe terche chereze treme kembe wambo jambel Devo malo jumse sameda kanche kebe tsuken tsungap Losang rabe shabla sawade mime tsewe terche chenrese Trime kembe wambo jambe Devo malo jumse sameda kanche kebe tsuken tsungap Losang rabe shabla sawade mime tsewe terche chenrese Trime kembe wambo Devo malo jumse sameda kanche kebe tsuken tsungap Losang rabe shabla sawade mime tsewe terche chenrese Trime kembe Devo malo jumse sameda kanche kebe tsuken tsungap Losang rabe shabla sawade mime tsewe terche chenrese Sameda kanche kebe tsuke tsungka pala sandrabe shabla zawade mime tsewe teche chere siti me kimbe om. Depo malo chumde sameda kanche kebe tsuke tsungka pala sandrabe shabla zawade mime tsewe teche chere siti me kimbe om. Pacham pilyan depo malo chumde sameda kanche kebe tsuke tsungka pala sandrabe shabla zawade mime tsewe teche chere siti me kimbe om. Depo malo chumde sameda kanche kebe tsuke tsungka pala sandrabe shabla zawade mime tsewe teche chere siti me kimbe om. Pacham pilyan depo malo chumde sameda kanche kebe tsuke tsungka Losang rabe shabla zawade mime tsewe teche chere siti me kimbe om. Pacham pilyan depo malo chumde sameda kanche kebe tsuke tsungka pala sandrabe shabla zawade mime tsewe teche chere siti me kimbe om. Tibo malo jumde sameta kanche kebe tuke Tsongkhapa Losang Rabe Chula Suwa Demi Mitsewe Tiji Jene Tiri Miki Miwambo Chambilian Tibo malo jumde sameta kanche kebe tuke Tsongkhapa Losang Rabe Chula Mime Tsewe Tiji Jene Tiri Miki Miwambo Chambilian Tibo malo jumde sameta kanche kebe tuke Tsongkhapa Losang Rabe Chula Suwa Demi Mitsewe Tiji Jene Tiri Miki Miwambo Chambilian Tibo malo jumde sameta kanche kebe tuke Tsongkhapa Losang Rabe Chula Mime Tsewe Tiji Jene Tiri Miki Miwambo Chambilian Tibo malo jumde sameta kanche kebe tuke Tsongkhapa Losang Rabe Chula Suwa Demi Mitsewe Tiji Jene Tiri Miki Miwambo Chambilian Tibo malo jumde sameta kanche kebe tuke Tsongkhapa Losang Rabe Ime Tsewe Tiji Jene Tiri Miki Miwambo Chambilian Tibo malo jumde sameta kanche kebe tuke Tsongkhapa Losang Rabe Chula Suwa Demi Mitsewe Tiji Jene Tiri Miki Miwambo Chambilian Tibo malo jumde kanche kebe tuke Tsongkhapa Losang Rabe Chula Suwa Demi Mitsewe Tiji Jene Tiri Miki Miwambo Chambilian Tibo malo jumde sameta kanche kebe tuke Tsongkhapa Losang Rabe Chula Suwa Demi Mime Tsewe Tiji Jene Tiri Miki Miwambo Chambilian Tibo malo jumde sameta kanche kebe tuke Tsongkhapa Losang Rabe Chula Suwa Mime Tsewe Terche Chenre Si Trime Kembe Wambo Chambelia Tibo malo jumse sameta kanche kebe tuke Tsongkhapa Losang Rabe Chula Suwa Demi Yunden Chungne Churin Kya Soche Mondo Norbe Tsoke Yonso Da Ngorme Zimba Tongwa Nibech Neden Duwa Zinla Sowa De Kandan Dena Devra Shekpe Lama Tembra Bebe Yunden Chudem Malyo Gelwe Duzo Choke Je Tekcho Gewe Shela Sowat Gosum Ledam Lochen Sodendra Yodan Gyume Ngadan Gyushish Tenye Chusun Tridan Chekepe Dorche Zimbe Tsola Sowat Sangye Drangme Jumbe Matulwe Maron Toge Nikdu Drowal Deshe Lamsan Chishin Tembai Kyabgon Tuje Chenla Sowat Tube Nima Tuge Nupgyurute Gongya Mebe Drowa Mongbol Yawe Zeba Nyavra Druzepe Kyabgon Tuje Chenla Sowat Yawa Tamchele Kange Babu Buka Chizayan Dacha Sanam Shindu Lengape Kyabgon Tuje Chenla Sowat Deshen Kusong Genge Koloni Tapke Gyuru Drawe Choge Tame Tsuge Drowa Drenzepe Kyabkon Tuje Chenla Sowat Kyoge Pungan Keche Yenla Nam Deshe Ringa Yabyon Sembat Trawe Wambo Ranshin Chosumge Danye Lama Chola Sowat Punge Yeshe Reba Lechungwe Kingo Korlo Chewe Danyet Rige Kyabda Dorche Zimbetso Suncho Tambe Gonla Sowat Time Lenge Gawe Reba Yerme Tenyo Kungya Kungit Toma Tadre Kunsan Tundam Chancho Simgo Kyola Solwa De Kyoni Lama Kyoni Yedan Kyoni Kandra Chogyonte Tengne Sonde Chancho Kyomi Kyashe Mitsowe Didam Bardo Chime Tarian Tuje Chagyo Samsol Sishi Jigdro Ngodro Gonzo Tenge Drozo Bajo Son Kyonye Lama Kyonye Kyonye Kandro Chogyonte Tene Sonde Chanchub Sishi Jigdro Ngodro Gonzo Tenge Drozo Bajo Son Kyonye Lama Kyonye Kyonye Kandro Chogyonte Tene Sonde Chanchub Bardo Kyomi Kyabshe Mitso Didam Bardo Chime Tarian Tuje Chagyo Sumsola Sishi Jigdro Ngodro Gonzo Tenge Drozo Pajos Kyonye Lama Kyonye Yedan Kyonye Kandro Chogyonte Tengne Sonde Chancho Bardo Didam Bardo Chime Tarian Tuje Chagyo Sumsola Sishi Jigdro Ngodro Gonzo Tenge Drozo Pajos Kyoni Lama Kyoni Yedan Kyoni Kandra Chogyonte Tengne Sonde Chancho Pardo Kyomi Kyabshe Mitsowe Didam Pardo Chime Tari Tuje Chagyo Sumsola Sishi Jigdro Ngodro Kun Tenge Trozo Pajo Sum Tetra lenson sowa tabe tu lame koson toge nenamle Tuse vese karma tingasa Rimdan chikchara jungne danyege Neson rimdan chikchara timbale Tripshi thakchin namda wangshi top Kushi topchin lama niba shik Yeshin timbe jinge la pare kyu Omo Guru Vajradhara Sumati Muni Shasane Karma Uda Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsamanya Sarva Siddhi Hu Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Muni Shasane Karma Uta Vardhanya Shri Bharra Varsamanya Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Muni Shasane Karma Uta Vardhanya Shri Bharra Varsamanya Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Muni Shasane Karma Uta Vardhanya Shri Bharra Varsamanya Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Muni Shasane Karma Uta Vardhanya Shri Bharra Varsamanya Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Muni Shasane Karma Uta Vardhanya Shri Bharra Varsamanya Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Muni Shasane Shri Bhadra Varsamanya Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Gyana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Gyana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Gyana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Gyana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Gyana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Gyana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi. Om Guru Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhi. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhi. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhi. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhi. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhi. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhi. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Muni Soha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Muni So. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Muni So. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Muni So. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Muni Soha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maham Shakya Muni Swaha. Om A Vajradhara Hum Hum. Om A Vajradhara Hum. Om A Vajradhara Hum Hum. Om A Vajradhara Hum. A Vajradhara Hum Hum. Om A Vajradhara Hum Hum. Om A Vajradhara Hum Hum. Om A Vajradhara Hum. Om A Vajradhara Hum. Om A Vajradhara Hum Hum. Om A 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 Hum. Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. Verse 84, verso 84. Shinjo Damba Jitsun Lama La Chichin Kube Sowa Tabe Tu Dele Tsawa Gombo Kenyigi Geshe Chisun Zimbra Jingelo Denche Tsamshi Nyebe Del Churadi Nyega Nyurdu Jibe Sultone Tome Tsede Chave Mie War Tende Nimbo Lembra Jingel Neson Dunge Barwe Mejigne Ningne Kunjo Sumla Kemdroshi Jingelo Balon Tradu Dunge Sumge Chuse Mambose Jingelo Sagat Korwa Di Gawe Zildar Trove Lobane Nyamda Drova Di Gundage Ma Yayan Trige Kambe Susam Ula Tseve Mashinto Chumi Ninje Kiora Jingelo dela namya choshe mebrani dada yomi she shende gawa gebra jingelo chibek mi de dunga gebe gurdone lelen dela kondo sumjet dazen tenjen jombra jingelo jungwe gordon rowa dida da ge dalanke tuwa shendon bashen zebai vara jingelo rani Decir da jenceve ne jola nyamle nimbo chebra jingelo. Malue tada dala mimba dan dagi dege shenla tangwa. Drogwe deda debra jingelo tena jitsun lama tuchech. Magyo drove dire dungaka. Yongante mide dunga chartar babgyur kyang lenge drebu sebe gyurton kenge lamto longwara jingel dona sange nawa chishareya lojo adamze labje nyamlenge dejo denje jombra jingelo manach Chuden che chamda ninje labe sambaye drona sitso chele drovech chanjo simni chongra jingelo Jimbe barjin sobra jingelo Sanga domba ye chezan soge chirya mide chin gecho dudan simche tundru Malu chogurete shishin sandro dikshin salcho kyam Midro nolen pemba druje pe sebe parchin sobra jingel Simche rere chirya narme pe menan keba gyatso negwe kyam Ninje mige chancho chozon pe tsindro parchin sobra jingel Chokwe dembe tombe ne lo la tseche nyambra chobe tinzenge samden parchen sobra jinge Tenda nyamsha namge ne jogi shira parchen sobra jinge lo Chinan chenan gyuma milan dan dambe tsanan daso chishin Nayan dembra mebe tsudo ne gyume tinzen sobra jinge lo Ranshin duza me ba dan gyure dendre loa me ba ni penso game troso charwa ye lodro gondo dobra chik Modro tsawa damze domban sole chebra zimbra jingelo Galwe kusonto gyurwe rimba tambo ne chogi tame na shintrima kunjad kana lagwe charwara jingelo Inge dabke dudi vidatu gungyo shazen goba lechon Vese gyulo sondo jube lan tsedi ngondo gyurwa jingelo Chiwe duje na tsenda tsangya lame powa nye Tumga yandan charwe damga ge tape shindo drobra jingelo Kewa tamche tu gombo kyoge drame jesone Kuson toge sanwa kunzem Sege turo gyurwa jingelo Gongyo kandu ngombra sangebe korge toma nito takirote Nega tardu gundu malupa Beme lungi drube trashitsu Sangye chodan soge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapso chi Dagi chushe give sonam gi Trola pinchira sangye drupa resho. Sangye chedan soge chonam. Dagi chishe gibe sonamgi. Trola pinchira sangye drupa resho. Sangye chedan soge chonam la. Chancho pardo dan. Dagi chishe gibe sonamgi. Trola pinchira sangye drupa resho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge unto enlightenment. To the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, today, I would like to start with a different introduction that we have done during these past days. And I was remembering, before we actually go back to the text of Lama Tsongkhapa and Panchen, Losang, Chokyi, Gyaltsen, I was remembering one time I went to see, I was in Thailand, and after giving some teachings there, I went to see the abbot, which actually is the vice abbot, Lompo Tata of Dhammakaya. And I was with my father also. And he was very nice. He's always incredible. He's really a great master. And he said many nice things, but mainly what I was remembering is that first he asked my father, "How old are you?" And I don't remember how old my father was actually exactly. But anyhow, it was beyond, after over 50, almost, I think he was 58 or something like that, or almost 60 or something like that. And anyhow, then the abbot said to him, "You and me, we have already lived more than half a century. We don't have another half a century. So we need to pass most of our time meditating, because the habits of our mind are more difficult to change now. So we need to put more effort to change the habits of our mind." Then he looked at me and he said, you need to study, but now mostly you need to work and meditate." And then he was making this very clear. And then he said something which touched me also. He said his master, which was a nun. This is very interesting because, generally speaking, in Buddhism, especially in Asia and so on, there are not so many women masters, and even more in the Theravada tradition. No? So in the Theravada tradition, from the Dhammakaya, my main masters now, they were all disciples of one nun. And this lady, this nun, was the master. She was the actual main founder of the Dhammakaya monastery, actually, temple. Anyhow, he told me, he said, when anyone would come to see her, she used to say, "Words we forget, experiences we do not." So he said, she used to say, to come to someone, you can say the most beautiful words to someone, but most probably after some time the person will forget it. So what she would do, she would just come, anybody, it didn't matter if it was new or old person, just first time or already coming many times, she would just sit and meditate together with the person. Put the person to meditate together. And she said, by that the person will have a more deeper experience instead of just understanding something. You know? So, this is something which I really value a lot from the Theravada tradition, that they make like the single-pointed shamatha meditation, which is very important in any tradition of Buddhism. In the Tibetan tradition, it's something very much more personal. You would never do it in group normally. Like you go to no monastery where you will see all the monks sit in silent doing shamatha meditation. You will never find this anywhere. This doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It means it's simply done in another way. We have the part of meditation together with recitation, which is very strong. But the silent meditation is something that it's very personal. It's not something that is done openly. No? Even there was one master, he was staying at the house of one of my gurus. And one of my friends, he was living there together. And he told that this master, he was like being sitting, he's doing his daily practice. He was really like very well concentrated. But if he would see anyone passing nearby that was looking at him, he would fake as if he was sleeping. Go like this.
And then the question, why? Because he doesn't want to show off, I am a great meditator. No? We would do, most of us most probably will do the opposite, no? We are sleeping, then someone is looking, then we are faking we are meditating, no? He was doing the other way around. Not to show that he was really meditating well, because not to build up any sort of ego or something like that out of that. Anyhow, this was at the house of Kachen Losang Rinpoche, the abbot of Tashilumpo in India. And this Lama was Rato Kyonla Rinpoche, living in France. Anyhow, he was telling me this was Ngucho Dharmapada, one other friend of mine. Anyhow, the point is that I want today, before we go back to the text which is talking about analytical meditation and so on, I wanted to start by making a meditation together. And the meditation that we will do is not, let's say, is the basis of meditation. It's like not the ABC, it's the A. Okay? Like first step. So normally, before we do any other type of meditation, and there are many, many meditations, first thing we need to do is bring our mind to a state of calm. Stop wandering around. First, we need to bring our mind to that state. Then from that, we can direct our mind to many different objects of meditation. Then we can have meditation on refuge, we can meditate on bodhicitta, we can meditate on the preciousness of this life, we can meditate on developing great love, we can meditate on impermanence, we can meditate on emptiness. There are many, many different types of meditation that we can do. But before this, even in the Guru Puja, the first word that it says, Rapkar Gesen Chimbonganyile. No? When it says, Rapkar Gesen Chimbonganyile, in the beginning it says, with a pure, clean mind. It is showing that in the preliminary practices, one of the first steps is bring the mind to a state of balance, to a state of calm. Then from that state, then we can build on many different types of meditation. So there are different techniques in order to do this first step of meditation. I would like to share one of them with you, actually two combined. Okay? And one is called the 9-cycle breathing meditation. And then after that, we would just do the very simple meditation on our own breath, okay? Where the actual object of meditation is our own breath. This is one of the most simple ways of meditating in the beginning, because whenever we meditate, there must be an object of meditation. And the more gross this object is, the easier it is somehow. So when we when we concentrate on our own breath, that's quite simple. And at the same time, it's very useful because the breath is also giving the rhythm to the mind. So for example, try to think quick and breathe slow. It's difficult. Or do the other way around. Okay? Breathe quick and think slow. It's difficult. So somehow the breath is giving the rhythm to the mind also. So as we breathe in the right way, I will explain it just now, and then we go on, it helps also to calm the mind, to bring a mind to a more stable state. For example, Dhammakaya meditation, they teach a meditation, very nice, the meditation that they taught us here when they came here. But when it was 2 years ago, on the summer 2 years ago, the Vice Abbot Lompo Tata came here, he gave wonderful teachings. And then they did one guided meditation the day before, Venerable Nicholas. And then, because Lompo Tata didn't want to guide the meditation because he said, I don't know my English is not good, so who guided the meditation was the Venerable Nicholas, a Western monk. Anyhow, they have this very nice way in which the object of meditation in the beginning, they just say an image may appear to your mind. Any image. Then just keep that image. It can be the image of the sun, a tree, a place, something. Just let this image come to the mind, and then this becomes the object of meditation. No? Then after you will change, then once you learn how to do that, then you can change the image, you change the object of meditation. So we will just now do a little bit of this. Instead of giving a lot of explanation, I will guide through the meditation as we do the explanation together. Okay? Otherwise, I do the whole explanation, then when we do good, then I say, okay, now we do, then maybe you forgot already half of it. So as we go through it, as we give the explanation, we'll guide through the actual meditation. This is the best way also for everyone to learn, because once we learn it well, then after we can do it in any other moment also. Okay? Otherwise, we have been talking these days a lot about meditation, then we never sit down to concentrate together, and so it's better just to do at least some basis of meditation. First thing, the position is important, posture. So please, we sit with our back straight, but not tense. Our shoulders are relaxed. Our head is slightly forward. Our mouth is relaxed. Our eyes are slightly closed, looking downwards. First of all, we observe our own breath. Without forcing it, without directing it, we simply observe. Where do we feel it in our body? If we are breathing in our chest or in our belly, we just observe. We relax in the present moment. We slowly take away the attention from our eyes, from the sound, from the touch, the taste, or the smell. And we bring our attention to the air that goes in and the air that goes out. We gradually bring the air as we inhale below our navel. We keep the air after inhaling slowly, and gently we exhale all the air. We inhale and visualize now our central channel that starts from our forehead and goes down straight to our spinal cord until it reaches around 4 fingers below the navel. And we have the left and the right channel, which starts in the two nostrils and goes down side by side with the central channel. And 3 fingers below the navel, they enter into the central channel. We will now do the 9-cycle breathing. We will first, with the right hand, block the right nostril, inhale from the left, then block the left, then exhale from the right, 3 times. Then we do the same thing with the left hand, blocking first the left nostril, inhaling from the right, then blocking the right, inhaling, exhaling from the left. As we do this, we observe and imagine that all impurities and energy blocks that are in our 3 channels are completely eliminated. And later, we breathe with both nostrils, imagining the air that comes in through the left and right channel and fills up our central channel. As we inhale and exhale. So we do first the Vajra fist. Close our hand. And we start by closing the right nostril.
As we inhale and we simply observe the air that comes in and the air that goes out. We rest our mind in our own breath as we breathe, bringing the air below our navel, keeping it there for some time, and gently exhaling all the air again. Having clarity of our own breath and resting the mind within this state, we observe our mind to check other thoughts are appearing or not, or if we have or no clarity of our own breath. Whenever another thought may appear, we simply let it go, without naming it, without judging it, and we bring back our attention to the air that goes in and the air that goes out. As we inhale and As we inhale and rest the mind at the present moment without following the thought. Bring the mind to the present moment, observing, following with the mind the air that goes in, the air that goes out. As we inhale and we keep observing our breath. And slowly we open our eyes and move our hands. So this is just, we did now one very short experience of the very basis of meditation. For me, the difficult thing is that when we start, then there is the wish to continue more and more. But I was remembering just now, when actually playing the bell, that actually I believe, from my understanding, that at the time of Lama Tsongkhapa, there was actually some silence meditation group. And they were using the Tingsha
The tingsha is this round bell, which is you do like two part like ting, ting, no? And like during Molam Chemo, they use it also. And this was used to mark the time also during silent meditation. So this means there was some moments in which there was doing silent meditation in group also, okay? But I think for all of us, we have just done something very simple, but I think we can feel the results right away. It's possible to feel that the speed of the mind gets lower. We can feel maybe more ourselves, more balanced, more centered. And as we move on, the more we do it, the easier it becomes, and the deeper the experience becomes also. Okay. I sincerely have no idea how much time has passed. I have had many different experiences. Sometimes we did long meditations, and this experience is very short time. Sometimes we do very short time, and there is the sensation of very long. There is two ways. No. Remember one time specifically, we were in Brazil, and then we did a guided meditation on the three transformations, the process of death and so on. And I asked how long did it go after to people, and most people thought like 15 minutes, and we were there for 2.5 hours. And so it's like, it depends basically how we relax the mind and how we direct the mind. So time is relative, and this is something we can experience very much in meditation. So how long, it's not important. The important is the quality, not the quantity. Okay? So it's not important if I stay meditating for 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 5 hours or 10 hours, whatever. It's more important the quality. Because otherwise I can be meditating for very long and my mind be half meditating, half in mental dullness and so on. So this is not true meditation. So it's better to have quality of meditation. So in this way, it's important, but I advise, if we can, to do this very simple breathing meditation before we start in the preliminary practices, before taking refuge and before making the generation of bodhicitta or anything else. Before we start with the actual practice that we do normally, just sit down, right position, observe the breath, and remain there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. As long as we feel comfortable, then when we feel that our mind is more calm and it's stable, then we do the visualization of refuge, and then we start taking refuge and all the rest. But to bring the mind first to this state, it's quite important. And if we get more and more used to it, if we get more and more trained to it, there can be a moment in which it's even enough just to inhale, exhale, and then the mind is already in a stable position. Now, we don't need much time for it after. But it is important. Like, for example, there are techniques also in which we count our breath. So you go, like in the beginning we do inhale, exhale 1. Inhale, exhale 2. And like this we'll go on and on until we reach normally 21. And it's very common that before we reach 21, when we are in the very beginning of it, when we are not so much used, before we reach 21, we already lost count because our mind were somewhere else. Then we start again from 1. This is another way. The most simple way of doing it, actually, if our mind is very much distracted and we are not able, then we need to count inside the breathing. This is to help us not to lose the concentration. So then we need to do inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep the breath 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep the breath 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. If we count as we inhale, as we keep, as we exhale, and so on, this will help us, especially in the very beginning, if we are in a moment of our life where our mind is very distracted and we're not able simply to observe the inhaling and the exhaling. Then if we count inside of it, then this will help us very much to keep the attention also. We may keep the mind busy with it. Otherwise, the mind can go distracted more easily. Okay? But it's important for us first to start slowly, slowly. The more we do, the easier it will become. And because there is no realization without developing the true concentration and true samadhi. So it's very important for us actually to sit down and meditate and really. It's something no one can do for us. We can have the best of all gurus, but no one can do for us. We only can do for ourselves. So we need to sit down and really observe our breath, or then after we can do this meditation, observing, I don't know, for example, in the practice of Vajrayogini, it's said that one of the best objects to start to meditate on shamatha is the third eye, or the syllable bam, for example. There are many, many ways how we can do this, okay, depending on the practice, depending on the object, but the important thing is that we need to sit down and really first bring our mind to a state of balance. Then from that, we do the visualization of whatever practice. Normally we start with refuge, then bodhicitta, and so on. Or if we want to meditate on impermanence or anything else. But first, just train the mind to bring ourselves to be present in the present moment. That's very important. That's the basis. Then from that, we have many types of meditation which can be possible also. Okay? Right. Huh? Yeah. Okay. When we do the 9-cycle breathing, if we go on more detailed explanation, it goes like this. We have the central channel. First of all, the channels are deeply connected to our nervous system. Okay? So we have our central channel, which goes from our forehead through our spine, and actually goes up to the, how do you call it in English, coccyx? The coccyx, okay? And then the base, it goes up to the base of the spine. Then we have the right and left channel, which they go out from the nostrils, and they go side by side, and 3 fingers below the navel, they enter inside. As we do the breathing, we should do it the following way. First we inhale, no? As we inhale, for example, closing with the right hand, the right nostril, there are actually 2 different explanations. I saw both of them from very valid sources. So I believe both of them are valid. Actually, the final result is the same. But one is with the right hand, you start closing the right nostril. The other one is with the right hand, you start closing the left nostril. Okay? Both of them are fine. So don't be confused if we see a different explanation. So normally the one I do is with the right hand, we close the right nostril. Okay? So we start like this. So inhale. When we inhale, we imagine as the air goes in the left channel, goes down to below the navel. And then when we inhale, we do a little bit of vase breathing, which means we inhale, then we bring the air down below the navel and we keep it below the navel. So imagine that the air goes down and it concentrates 3 fingers below the navel where the 2 channels meet. Okay? Now, there is the central channel and then there is the right channel and the left channel coming here. So there is a way of passage in between. Okay? No, they don't join together. There is the central channel in the middle. And then there's the right channel and the left channel coming together, okay? So what we do as we breathe in is that when we inhale, we can also, if needed, we can swallow the saliva in, dry way, not like strongly. So this helps to bring the energy down. So we bring the air down below the navel. We keep it there. And then when we exhale, we imagine it coming out from the other channel and going out from the right nostril. So we imagine it going in and then it's going out from the other channel. This we are talking about the cycle of energy. We're not talking about the actual air going into one pipe and going out from another pipe. Okay? This is called prana. It's called energy. We are talking about the nervous system. We're not talking about the lungs and the air in this way. So, what happened is that when we breathe in, we imagine that we bring the energy down below the navel, and at the same time we bring the energy up above to just below the navel also. So this is like, for me, it's a little bit like imagining we have two types of energies. One is that of jumping, and the other one is of sitting. So if we are sitting and we need to jump, we can have, like, we bring the energy up. It's the upward moving wind. So we can jump, or we can sit down. So it's like if we joint the two energies together just below the navel. That's called the vase breathing, where we joint the two energies together. So we can do a little bit of this as we do the 9-cycle breathing. Because I inhale, then we contract the muscles of the lower part of the body, bringing the energy up. We bring the air down to the navel. We concentrate it just below the navel. Then we go with the hand to the other side, and we exhale in 3 times. As we exhale, we imagine the air going out through the right nostril. Okay? In Tibetan, this meditation is called Lungro Gudrup. Ro means actually corpse, which means dirt, which means something dead. So basically, it's the meditation to clear away the dead energy, the blocked energy inside our channels. So as we do this, as we breathe in, we imagine that all the dirt, like all the blockages that are there of energy, they are completely taken away. Then they go down, and then they clean the other channel also, and they go out from the other channel. Then we do this 3 times, no? When we do it 3 times, then after we go back on the other side, and we do the same thing. The important thing for me, which for me makes a difference, this is not something that I have received precise instructions on this, so I'm telling my experience, so it can be right or it can be wrong, okay? But for me it works, is that when inhaling, if we join the technique of vase breathing, by keeping the air below the navel and then directing it to the other side, it makes quite a difference. Okay? So the same thing happens after when we breathe in from both nostrils. We inhale, then we bring the energy down below the navel, we keep it there, the air goes below the navel, and then when we exhale, we imagine the air going inside the central channel and filling up completely the central channel as we exhale, okay, from the 2 nostrils. So as we exhale, we imagine that the air is coming up and then it's going out, okay? So this is basically, as we do the 9-cycle breathing, there is actually many ways of doing this, and it's actually a very powerful tool, very simple method, and that we can do in the beginning of meditation, like when we just sit down. Sometimes we just go there. The more we do, the slower it will become. The deeper our breathing and inhaling, and the deeper our exhaling will become. So when we do in group, it's a little bit difficult because I try to adapt the timing for the timing of most people, but normally we do a little bit more slowly. And then we just inhale completely. Then we keep below the navel without hurry, as long as it's comfortable. Then we exhale completely. Then we wait a little bit. Then we inhale again. No hurry in this sense. And then there is another aspect of this meditation, which is the fact that we are cleaning the right and the left channel, first of all. And it's said that we use the right and the left channel are directly connected to male and female energy, which is the energy of attraction and the energy of aversion. So basically, the right channel is related to the left side of our body, and the right and the left channel to the right side of our body. They are inverted. Okay? So when we clean the left channel, we are cleaning the male energy. When we clean the right channel, we are cleaning the female energy. Okay, they are inverted. So based on that, what happens is that male energy on the left channel refers to the energy of aversion. Female energy on the right channel refers to the energy of attraction. Okay, most of our thoughts, let's say 99% of our thoughts mostly, are based on attraction or based on aversion normally. Okay. So in meditation, to clean this, it's very important to bring our mind to a more neutral state, free from attraction or from aversion. This is one of the meaning also of this meditation as we do it in this way. Okay? And there is here something physically, there is something energetically that helps also after to bring the mind to a more balanced state. So this is a technique which is very much part of our lineage, and it's for me personally, I like it very much. So before we do any other practice, we can do anything before doing Guru Yoga or anything, just in the beginning. Sit down. Before doing, actually, I prefer first to do some little bit of breathing meditation, just to visualize well the central channel, the right and the left channel, bring little bit the mind to a state of calm, and then we do the 9-cycle breathing. If we just sit down and then we go and we start, the mind is still wandering around. It's better just to sit down a few minutes before, and then we do the 9 cycles, and then we stay for some time until we feel it's good, and then we start with the visualization and the practice that we are going to do. Okay? There are different why we do, for example, the Vajra fist, and why we do like this, and so on. One way it is because I think it's connected to it's the channels of energy, like softening the channels and so on. They have a connection in our arms also. And there are things that we do also because there is one thing which we call Tongwa Gyube Chaglen in Tibetan, which means following the tradition as we see from our masters. No? So we see our masters doing like this, that's why I do like this, and I don't do like this, or I don't do like this. There is also one way as we follow the way how our masters have been doing also. No? I don't know precisely why we do like this. I'm quite sure because the right and left channel, there is a relation also in our arms. There is a drawing, which a tanka, I had printed it out for Rinpoche during Heruka initiation, in which is the Heruka body mandala on an old tanka, which is like from India, where the name of all the deities are written in Sanskrit. And it was like for more than 800 years ago, painted in India. And in this tanka, that right and left channel are drawn, and as normally we meditate, but they are also in the right arm and in the left arm also. So maybe there is a connection specifically to that, but sincerely I don't have the right answer. Okay? Quindi, okay, now let's go back to the text, otherwise we have no time for that today, okay? So the short introduction became long. Va bene. Comunque è importante poter fare un po' questa meditazione sul respiro, un pochettino i primi passi, è una cosa veramente che non va sottovalutata. È qualcosa di semplice, però che va veramente, come si può dire, coltivata. E più si fa, più si impara, più facile diventa, più profondo diventa. Se non si fa, non diventa mai, rimane sempre difficile. E quindi è veramente qualcosa di molto utile. Just to say, we go back to the text now, but this very basic breathing meditation, there is a difference about what I was saying before between techniques of breathing, which means there when we develop more deeper breathing, and then we develop three stages breathing, 4 stages breathing, and like this and so on. This is when we go to pranayama, which is a wonderful thing. But it's a different thing to do. What we were talking now and what we were doing before is not specific pranayama. It's basically just using the breath to concentrate our mind, to make single-pointed concentration, where the object of meditation becomes our own breathing. Sure, it is connected because as we do it slowly, we also train our breath as we go through that. But basically, it is not a technique, what we were doing before, for breathing. It's a technique where we use the breath as a basis, connection, and anchor to keep the mind concentrated, okay, to rest the mind within our breath. So in this context specifically, when we count inhaling and exhaling, if we inhale counting up to 4 or to 5, whatever number, and we exhaling counting up to 10 or whatever, or we do the same, this is not the main point here. There are techniques where gradually we should inhale and then we should keep it longer and exhale longer and so on, as our friend was explaining also. So this is something that then we go more into focusing into the actual breathing. Here the focus is not the actual breathing, the focus is keeping our mind focused on the breath. Okay, this is a little bit the difference between the two. One is not taking out the importance of the other. It's just two different contexts and two different practices. Okay? Now we go back to our text, at least one question. Question 35, right? I think so. Töbangondu songwe kebada masongwe lumbo ni gompetse gom sange la keme serwa gyumse gyumse yang chi yin jidar keba tsamke kyon lungda rikpe chepa mang. Okay, very short question. Question number 35. Also, what is the reason for saying that a wise man who has previously heard a teaching and a foolish man who has not previously heard a teaching do not have any difference of nobility or evil when meditating? Not nobility and evil is not maybe the best word. It's basically saying gomsange, which means there are people that say that the level or the quality of your meditation is not better or worse if you have studied before or not. No? Like the day before yesterday, we were talking about that to meditate on something, we must first understand what we are meditating about. So if I go to meditate on impermanence, I must know what impermanence is. Otherwise, where am I lying my mind at? So when we meditate, we focus our mind on the object of meditation. So in order to be able to focus my mind in an object of meditation, I must know that object of meditation first. And that's the process of listening and comprehending. Terpa and Sampa. Once I listen and I comprehend means I study it, I understand it, then I can rest my mind into it. I can concentrate myself to it. That's when I meditate upon it. But repeating the same verse we said the other day, to meditate without having heard, without having studied, without having listened and comprehending before, is like trying to climb a big rock with our hands completely closed. There's no way how we can grab at our object. So, some people used to say that, okay, it doesn't matter how much you study or not. When meditating, that's not important. Meditation is one thing. It has nothing to do with the understanding prior to meditation. Okay? This would happen mostly in the cases when saying that meditation is simply emptying the mind of any thought. Okay? So this is one of the points which Lama Tsongkhapa is discussing here and trying to make it clear, saying, look, this is not like that. Okay? So this is why the question. Furthermore, here it says, also, what is the reason for saying that a wise man who has previously heard, which means have received many teachings, have studied, and a foolish man who has not previously heard a teaching, have not studied at all, what's the reason for saying that they do not have any difference of good or bad when meditating? So saying that there is no difference between one or other or meditation. And here Panchen, Losang, Chokyi, Gyaltsen answers saying, the wiser you are, the more you analyze things via scriptural authority and logic. Which means, the more you have studied, the more you have knowledge about something, the more clear is the analysis that you can do about it, so that you can do first analytical meditation, so that you can actually do after single-pointed meditation by focusing the mind on the object. In other words, the process of learning, it's important. It's like the big monasteries in India, like Sera Monastery. The name of Sera Monastery, Serame Monastery, is Serame Tösam Norlin Tratsang. Tösam Norlin Tratsang. Tratsang means like a monastery. No? It's actually nice, the way of Tibetan, because tsang is the same word you use, for example, for when you have a bird nest, for example, where all the birds gather. But tra means monk. So it's like, where the monks gather. That's a chatsang, that's a monastery, okay? So that's chatsang. Serame is just the name of it. Serame Tösam Norling. Ling means place, Nor means precious. So it's the place of precious. Tösam, listening and comprehending. So the objective of the monastery, for example, of Sera, is mainly to listen and to comprehend. So you go there to study. When you complete your studies, then you go to meditate, which is the third step. So, as it's common from human beings, we have the tendency to go to extremes. Or we only study, or we only want to meditate. It's like sometimes we have the tendency to go from one extreme to the other. So sometimes it happens in Buddhist traditions, like in Tibet. Some traditions would completely avoid the process of studying and saying that's not important, you just need to meditate. Other times it would go too much on study and then after never really meditating. So we need somehow to find the right balance between that. But a very simple point, which Lama Tsongkhapa is putting here, is that in order for us to be able to meditate on something, I must be able first to perceive that something. Otherwise, if I say meditate on emptiness, you will meditate on a sort of a concept based on what you have listening, but you really don't know what it means. If we say, okay, let's meditate on impermanence, but if I don't know really what impermanence is, and if my mind don't reach the state of seeing impermanence, of perceiving impermanence, how can I rest my mind within that state? It's not possible. So first we need to listen. The result of listening, there is what we call the three wisdoms. The wisdom of listening, the wisdom of comprehending, and the wisdom of meditating. So when do we know that I have finished my process of listening? I have listened enough. When do we know that I have comprehended enough, or when I have meditating in the right way? When we develop the different wisdoms, we call Töpe Sherab, Töchungi Sherab, Samchungi Sherab, Gomchungi Sherab. So we have these three types of wisdom. So the first type of wisdom is the wisdom of hearing. The wisdom of hearing is when we develop a yichu. It is, in English, it is a valid assumption about that. So, for example, if we talk about emptiness, it will be, I develop the wisdom of listening about emptiness, or wisdom of hearing about emptiness, in the moment that I am sure that phenomena lack inherent existence. Why? I don't know, and I have never experienced it directly. So it is when we are sure about something because we have heard enough, but we don't know how it is. Okay, we don't have yet our logics, we don't have our experience, but we are sure about that. So the definition of a correct assumption is is when we are certain about something without basing our certainty on a correct logic or on a direct experience. Okay, so when we are certain about something and we have no logics behind, no reasoning behind, no experience behind, it's an assumption. So when we have a correct assumption about something is when we have completed the process of listening. Okay, so I have heard many times that this life is precious. I'm sure this life is precious. How come I really don't understand yet, but I'm sure it is. Then I need to start the next process, which is the process of comprehending. Sampa. The process of comprehending is when I make that understanding my own understanding. I am not repeating anymore because my Guru said, because Buddha said, because Lama Tsongkhapa said. It is like this because I understand it fully. So this is when we develop what is called Samchungi Sherab, which technically it is when we develop what we call the Gyaltsen. Gyaltsen is an inferential valid cognition. An inferential valid cognition is basically when we are sure about something based on a correct logic. We have a correct reasoning, which makes us to understand whatever is our object. So this life is precious and rare. Why? Because through this opportunity of life that I have, I can practice Dharma correctly and get out of samsara, and it's very rare. This is why it's precious. It's very rare because most of the people don't have these opportunities that I have of good health and time to practice and having found a guru and so on. This is so rare. So we know the reason. So when we have the conclusion and that knowledge becomes our own knowledge and not anymore a repetition because someone said, then when we have this certainty, we have developed the wisdom of comprehending. Then now we need to develop the wisdom of meditation. The wisdom of meditation, Gomchung Gesherab, is when we take that conclusion and we are able to single point our mind on that conclusion, which means to develop calm abiding regarding that same conclusion. That's when we develop the wisdom of meditation regarding that point. So, for example, regarding the preciousness of this life, when I develop calm abiding, meditating on the preciousness of this life, this is the wisdom of meditation regarding the preciousness of this life. Then like this I can develop the same three wisdoms regarding impermanence or regarding emptiness or whatever, okay? So, in order for me to meditate, first I must listen and I must comprehend. Then I can actually really meditate upon it, okay? Milarepa also said, let me see if I remember in Tibetan, I don't remember the precise verse, but he said something like this. He was saying, to stay on the cave, meditating, without following precise instructions, is just generating more suffering to oneself. To go out on retreat without having something correct to meditate upon is just a process of not eating well and being in a cold place and being in a difficult situation. So he was saying, it's like, there is no real much point in that. So the importance of meditating upon a correct instruction. So here, the point of the question is that the more you are wise, the more you should study, the more you should understand, the more you should analyze, because the more it's clear in our minds, the more we can meditate well on it. It's actually quite logical, no? How can we meditate on something if we are not able to generate that mind? How can I familiarize myself with something that I don't know? Not possible. That's why it's important to study. That's why in the Gelugpa monasteries we do so much debating. The process of debating is not a process of listening, it's the process of comprehending. So we need to verbalize, we need to try to explain it. Even if we do between friends, we try to explain to someone else, how come this is like this, you know? We can even play like between friends and say, I think this life is not precious. So you prove me why not. And I have a lot of fun when I meet people that really have a very different point of view. And I need to try to prove them. Like this makes me just remember very briefly. One time I was in an airplane. I don't remember going from where to where. Rinpoche was sitting in front of me. I was behind. And on my side was a Russian guy. And then he looked to me and he said, oh, what are you dressed like this, like that? And I was saying, oh, I'm a Buddhist, Lama, a monk. And so he said, so selfish of you. So coward. And I was saying, oh really, why? Explain me why. But he was very calm. He was not like, he was quite certain about his view, you know. And I was explaining a bit, can you tell me why he's so selfish? He said, what you do, you give up family life, you give up working, you give up all the most difficult things of life, and then what you do, you just take an easy life, you know, praying and meditating and so on. That's selfish. If you really need to develop yourself, you need to go to the difficult part of life. You need to go to work and make money to pay the bills and do all the things and take care of your wife and children. That's the difficult part of life, you know. So, and I stayed like 1 hour discussing with him during the plane. It was actually very nice. So this is just to say, it's very good for us sometimes even to try to explain something to someone that has a very different point of view. But it's logic and consequential. The person is open to discussion, not closed-minded, no? It's said to discuss with the wise is easy, to discuss with the fool is difficult. Okay? So, to open our mind, even between us, just to try to explain things and to play with the understanding of the words, it's important to analyze and slowly to make that understanding not just something we repeat, but to make it our own. when we are able really to have a deep understanding about that, it's like the example of fire. Someone can tell us fire burns, and then we believe in it because, oh, my guru told me fire burns, so I believe in it. Buddha also said. But one day someone come and start saying fire do not burn, and then I said, oh, maybe it's right. Instead, if someone tell me fire burns, and then after I go to check if fire burns, and I take fire, I put my hand on it, and I start feeling the burning, and I burn my fingers. After that, anyone can come to me and say fire do not burn, I will not believe in it. So it's important for us to reach our own experience, our own conclusion. Then we meditate on it. Then we generate ourselves that state of mind, and then we meditate on it. Okay? Quindi, this is just this question. It's very simple, as it says. It's not really the same thing to meditate having learned and not having learned. It is necessary first to learn, to listen, and to comprehend so that we can meditate correctly upon it. Okay? If meditation would be only to follow the breath and to abstract our mind from any conceptual thoughts, if it would be that, then you don't need to study much to meditate. Okay? But as meditation is actually much more than that. This is just the first part of meditation. It's just to bring the mind to a state of calm. Then we need to meditate our mind with many specific things. Then we need to study about that. We need to familiarize our mind with it. We need to comprehend it in order to be able to meditate upon it. Okay? So one of the confusions that was coming here from this point is that some people would think, as many people still think today, that to meditate is simply to abstract the mind from conceptual thoughts. And this is not the true meaning of meditation in this context. So that's why if it would be only that, then really don't need to learn and to study and to comprehend. But as what we understand as meditation is to familiarize our mind with different concepts and states of consciousness, to develop such concepts and to develop such states of consciousness, we need first to listen and to comprehend so that we can generate that states of consciousness such as love and compassion and bodhicitta. We can develop such concepts such as impermanence and emptiness and so on so that we can meditate upon them. Okay? This is, I think it's quite clear, right? So, just to conclude this part, the question was, so is it not true that it's not too early or too late to start meditating? Yeah, maybe to start, yes, but really to meditate well is not like this, no? Actually, we can start meditating at any moment, and it's wonderful to do it. And it depends also on the predispositions and the, what we call in Tibetan, ketop gisherap, the unborn qualities, ketop gyaltsen, the qualities we have from birth. Some people, they start meditating, are so able to do it. Other people, they can stay their whole life meditating, so difficult. Okay? It means also the imprints that we have as we come along to this life. But what happened is that, sure, it's like, is it possible to reach enlightenment in one lifetime, like in 3 years or in 12 years of meditation and so on? I believe yes. But it needs very special qualities. One day I had a small insight about this, and I said, I think it's really possible. It was when I was preparing the files on the computer to make the paintings of the Gompa, which is a tremendous amount of work. So I was like, for almost 2 months, making minimum of 18 hours in the computer every day, and like sleeping one night yes, one night no, and when I was sleeping like 3 hours. And all the rest of the time I was eating in front of the computer, sitting there all the time there, me and some other people helping me also. And very often people would say goodbye at midnight, would come the next day in the morning, there I was. And it was an incredible period because normally I need to sleep a lot. I need at least my 8 hours of sleep to be well. At that time I was sleeping almost nothing and my mind was clear. I was full of energy. So one of the things I saw, I said, wow, it's possible to not to sleep much. I was even trying to convince myself it's not a bad idea to sleep one night yes, one night no. But after I saw that the moment changed, the conditions changed. Because when we are single-pointed into one thing, it's more easy to focus the energy into that. When we start putting our energy into many things, then we need more time to rest also. It's interesting. And during that period, I was single-pointed in it, like I was dreaming with pixels and tools of Photoshop. And during the day, I was doing only that, nothing else really. So what happened is that I saw, imagine if you take the same energy, the same focus for me, I was thinking, in a retreat. It makes a big difference. And it is possible to, in a sustainable way, to put full energy in the practice, day and night. It is possible. Is it easy? Not necessarily, but it is possible. Also, when we see, for example, the explanations, when we do long retreats and so on, it's given the same importance to the period between the sessions that is given to the actual sessions of meditation. They have the same level of importance. The mental attitude and the behavior that I have between the meditations has the same importance as the actual meditation. Because otherwise what happens? We do some meditation, we direct our mind in one way. Then between the meditations, we put the mind in a complete opposite direction. So poor mind is going one direction and then the other direction. So it's very difficult to settle the mind and to familiarize it deeply with one of them. So if we really focus our mind well, meditate well, I'm sure it's possible to gain incredible results. But it's a matter of putting our full energy into it. It's also another moment I had an insight understanding this was when seeing the teachings on the 9 mixings, which is basically the 3 transformations during meditation, sleep, and death. And it shows a technique which is to practice 24 hours all the time. And if we really put our energy into that, wow, then it's really possible. If we do sometimes yes, sometimes no, then sure, we get the result for what we do, basically. It's simple as that. So, just coming back to our main point here, to conclude for this question, is in order to meditate, it's important for us to learn and to comprehend. But it also depends on what we intend as meditation. So meditation, according to our lineage and to the teachings we receive from Buddha and later from Lama Tsongkhapa and all the other great masters, meditation is not just emptying the mind of conceptual thoughts. Meditation is focusing the mind, single-pointed, without mental laxity or mental agitation, into one object, which can be patience, it can be impermanence, it can be ultimately emptiness, and so on, or love, or so many others. Okay? So it's a tool to develop these qualities. That's why it's important to learn and to comprehend first. Okay? I think we will not start question 36 today. We will go through it tomorrow morning. And even though they are talking about the same subject, but otherwise it's going to be too long. I was supposed to finish more or less around 5, so we're a little bit beyond time. Okay, so we'll do now a short break. We do the dedications, then we do a short break, then there is Tsok offering, then Rinpoche coming. Okay?
Jetsun lame kotse rapten chi namkar chen le chochur gepa dang Losang tempe dreme sasum gi drove Michel tautu ne gyurchi Nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshing Ninsen takto delekpe kuncho sumke jingilo kuncho sumke ngodrup tsol kuncho sumke trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the 3 jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.